Hi, I'm Courtney.
I'm Hannah.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Brendan, and we are
Composting. Got composting.
Fail. Gotta click.
This is what our bin will look like when we get the lid on it, and through the presentation we'll tell you how to make it and how we did it.
Okay, a little bit about composting. Well, first of all, what is composting? Compost usually consists of broken down material, usually organic material. The items that can be thrown into a compost bin or whatever, or they can be piled into a so-called compost pile. Once inside the bin or pile, the organic material is broken down by bacteria, and then as the material rots, the original ingredients are impossible to tell apart once you have your finished product. And your finished product should look dark and as like a rich soil. Cans and cans that can go into your compost pile. Most of the ones we're going to be putting in ours are leaves, grass clippings, coffee grounds, wood waste, vegetables, and then some cans are things such as treated woods, plastics, metals, dairy products, and meats, or paper, like printed paper. Our different uses for our compost, you can use them as a fertilizer, usually for shrubs or trees, potted plants, gardens, or lawns. And it can be used to make compost tea, actually, not a tea that you're able to drink. It's a substance that can be used to fight plant disease. And it can also be sold.
Benefits of composting: it's a natural fertilizer. Instead of going out and buying it, you can actually make your own, and you have a lot less organic waste than you would normally.
History of composting. This one's a little bit of an odd one, but we were told we needed it. So composting is like, basically you just pile up a whole bunch of organic material and let it rot. People can speed it up by giving it the ideal water, heat, ventilation. It's first recorded being used by the Acadians, which is like, oops, that's 100. That's supposed to be 1,000 years before like the time of Moses. And then George Washington actually composted. It died off early 1900s, but it restarted just kind of recently.
The different types, there's many different types of composting systems, as you guys have learned from the two other groups. But there's some listed here. The main ones that we did were 3-bin, the rolling bin, and the worm bin.
3-bin composting system, as you can see and probably know, a 3-bin composting system has 3 bins. And this is special because when you fill the first bin, you're going to move it to the second bin when it's kind of broken down, but it's not fully there. And then when it is fully broken down into compost, you're going to move it into the third bin. That way you can separate it all up and you're not having it on top of each other.
So this is just kind of a little presentation, but what we're going to do is we're going to take finished compost from the other 2 bins, as well as leaves, grass, stuff from the lunchroom, and that's all going to go in one of these. And it will break down and rot in here and start turning into compost. And when this one is full, we're going to move to this one. Once this one, we filled this up, we go to this one, and by the time this one is full, this one should be finished composting and ready to empty out. So you'll just be able to go up and take all the little wooden slats out of the front, and then you could just scoop the compost out and just keep moving them all the way out until you got all the compost gone. When you're done with that, you can start to refill this bin, and once you're done with that, this one should be about done composting, somewhere around the time this one is refilled. Empty this one out, and then you move to this one, and you just kind of keep starting over, moving through all the different bins.
Okay, so troubleshooting problems. The compost should be moist to the touch, kind of like a sponge. If any of you guys help your parents do dishes, you know, like after the sponge is sitting out for a while, it's still kind of wet, but it's not really wet. That's what composting should feel like. It shouldn't be too dry, and if it does get to that point, you should water it, but not too much, because you know it might start to smell. And if it's too wet, you kind of just gotta leave it alone and let it dry and do its thing. Okay. It should smell somewhat like potting soil, or really no smell at all. If it stinks, you need to add ground plants to it. And it should be from anywhere from 140 degrees to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, so that's pretty hot. Like the other ones, you know, they get pretty warm. And if it's too cold, you want to add greener plants to it. And if it's too hot, that's kind of like when it's too wet, you can't do much for it. You just gotta let it go and hopefully fix itself.